What does it feel like not to belong? Not to your family, not to your school, not even to yourself. In 1955, one film captured that feeling with a rawness that still resonates today. Not as rebellion for its own sake, but as confusion, frustration, and the desperate need to be understood. Rebel Without a Cause isn't just a film about teenagers. It's a film about identity, about isolation, and about the quiet fear that no one is really listening. Today on Golden Age Flicks, we're revisiting a film that gave a voice to a generation and continues to speak for anyone who's ever felt out of place. So stay with me, because this isn't just about rebellion, it's about searching for somewhere to belong. The film follows Jim Stark, a troubled teenager who has just moved to a new town with his parents. From the outset, Jim is struggling, not with authority alone, but with a deeper sense of confusion about who he is and where he fits. His relationship with his parents is strained, particularly with a father he sees as weak and unable to stand up for himself. At school, Jim quickly becomes entangled with a group of local youths, including the volatile Buzz and the emotionally vulnerable Plato. What begins as tension escalates into a dangerous game of chicken, a reckless test of courage that ends in tragedy. In the aftermath, Jim forms a fragile bond with Judy, Buzz's girlfriend, and Plato, creating a makeshift sense of family amongst three people who feel disconnected from their own. But the illusion cannot last. As emotions intensify and misunderstandings grow, the story builds towards a final confrontation that is as heartbreaking as it is inevitable. Now, if you've ever felt misunderstood, like no one quite hears what you're trying to say, stay with me, because Rebel Without a Cause isn't about teenage rebellion. It's about emotional loneliness. At the centre of the film is James Dean in one of the most iconic performances in cinema history. Dean's Jim Stark is raw, unpredictable, and deeply vulnerable. He captures the contradictions of adolescence: anger, sensitivity, confidence and fear, often within the same moment. His performance feels less like acting and more like expression. Opposite him, Natalie Wood brings emotional depth to Judy. Her performance reveals a young woman searching for affection and validation, masking vulnerability with defiance. Perhaps the most affecting is Sal Mineo as Plato. Mineo delivers a fragile, heartbreaking performance, portraying a character desperate for connection, whose emotional isolation becomes central to the film's final act. Together, the three create a dynamic that feels intensely real, a shared longing for understanding that transcends the film's setting. The film was directed by Nicholas Ray, who approaches the material with sensitivity and intensity. Ray understands that the film's power lies in emotion, not action. He uses colour, composition and framing to reflect the characters' inner turmoil. Bold reds, shadowed interiors and confined spaces that mirror emotional tension. The famous planetarium sequence in particular combines spectacle with existential reflection, placing teenage conflict within a much larger, almost cosmic perspective. Ray allows scenes to breathe, giving space for silence, hesitation and emotional release. This is direction that listens rather than dictates. The legacy of Rebel Without a Cause is profound. It became a defining film of youth culture, giving a voice to feelings that had rarely been explored so openly in cinema. James Dean's performance, released shortly after his death, cemented his status as a cultural icon, a symbol of youthful intensity and vulnerability. But the film's deeper legacy lies in its honesty. It doesn't romanticise rebellion, it explains it. And decades later, it continues to resonate because the emotions it captures, well, they haven't changed. The need to belong, the fear of being alone, the struggles of being understood, these are timeless. Rebel Without a Cause endures because it understands something essential about growing up. That it's not just about defying rules, it's about trying to make sense of yourself in a world that often feels overwhelming. The performances are unforgettable, the direction deeply empathetic, and the storytelling as relevant now as it was in 1955. This isn't just a film about youth, it's a film about vulnerability. Now, at the beginning, I asked what it feels like not to belong. Rebel Without a Cause answers this question. It feels confusing, it feels isolating, but it also reminds us of something important, that the search for belonging is something we all go through. And that's why this film stays with us, because it doesn't just show us rebellion, it shows us the reason behind it. Thank you for joining me on Golden Age Flicks. If this film resonates with you, or perhaps feels just as powerful now as it did the first time you saw it, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Join me next time as we revisit another classic that proves cinema doesn't just reflect life, it understands it. Until then, keep watching the classics, and as always, keep the projector running.